Hello, so today I'm going to be going over the musician question. So it says, what would Python display? Write the result of executing the code and the prompts below. If a function is returned, write function. If nothing is returned, we write nothing. And if an error occurs, write error. So if we look at our code, we realize that we have two classes, the musician class and the band leader class. And just for a quick refresher of object-oriented programming and how that works. So for defining attributes, an instance attribute is defined with the self.add or name notation, and it's usually in the init method, but it could also be found elsewhere, like in this problem. Additionally, the class attributes are defined outside of methods in the body of the class definition. So those would include variables like popularity, which is in the class musician. And then a second note, just to remind you guys, is about accessing attributes. So instance attributes are referred to using the self.adder name, and class attributes can be referred to using the class name dot adder notation. Great. So then before running any of the code below, like over here, we realize that Miles and Goodman are set to the musicians created as a result of calling the init constructor method, which init constructor method in musician dot Ellington uses the band leader's init method. And yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first question. We have Ellington.recruit Goodman and then Ellington.perform. So Ellington.recruit. So we see Ellington is a band leader, and having Ellington.recruit Goodman simply adds Goodman to the end of Ellington's instance attribute band. And then Ellington checks its class band leader for the perform method, which is over here. And this perform method is expecting an argument, but we're not given an argument. So it would then error. So that would be our first one. Cool. Now let's take a look at the second. Ellington.perform sing, sing, sing. So with this one, we can go ahead and take a look at Ellington, which is a band leader, and the perform, and it takes in sing, sing, sing. Let's see. So since band leader is part of the musician clause, we can go up to the musician and we realize that we can call perform here. So then when we have Ellington.perform, sing, 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 we would print out a stellar clarinet performance. And yes, so that's why we have the m.perform here. And then we update the musician popularity plus equals 1. And then we would print the song. And the song was sing, 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 which is what we inputted. So when we call Ellington.perform sing, 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 we would first print out a stellar clarinet performance, and then we would output the song. And the reason why we look up here for the perform method is because band leader is part of musician. So let's go ahead and put that. Okay, and then let's look at our third question, which is Goodman.popularity, Miles.popularity. So First, we want to try to get the value of Goodman dot popularity. So Goodman, we realize, is musician with clarinet. So if we were to draw out an environment diagram, we would see that Goodman has the instance variable popularity already defined. So then we would get the value 2. And then when we look at Miles' dot popularity, and we're going to try to access that. But in this case, Miles does not have a popularity instance variable defined. So we would essentially default to the class variable. And there we would see it is defined as 1. So that's how we get that variable. And so since commas in Python define like a tuple, we would essentially return the two values as 2, 1. Um, okay. You know, give me a hot second. Let's just erase that and then put it here. Okay, sorry about that. So then let's take a look at the next part, which is Ellington.recruit Miles and Ellington.perform Caravan. So let's go ahead and look up, and we see reminder that Ellington is a band leader, and we do Ellington.recruit. So we can look at our recruit, and it takes in Goodman. So then we run the recruit method, and we see it's self.band.append musician. So since first we call Ellington.recruit Miles, this appends Miles to Ellington's instance variable band. And then after that, we call Ellington.perform on Caravan. And so similar to the previous call on perform, we're going to be looping through all of the values in Ellington.band, calling their perform methods in order. So this causes the first 2 lines to be printed here, and we would get a a stellar clarinet performance and a stellar trumpet performance. And then, so let me just write that down really quickly. It would be a stellar clarinet performance, and then a stellar trumpet performance. Great. So then next, when we look back at our code, we have to increment the musician.popularity, which is like the class variable of the musician called popularity. And then we would essentially print the song variable that was passed in completing that last line. So that would be caravan right over there. So then caravan just goes at the end. Awesome. And then take a look at our last 3. We have something similar to what we did above. With Ellington.popularity, Goodman.popularity, Miles.popularity. So hopefully if we had all drawn out our environment diagrams, we would have seen that the Ellington.popularity was 2, and Goodman would have doubled and become 4, and then we would have 3 for Miles.popularity. And in order to just get these ones, it's recommended to just draw the environment diagram. So hopefully if your environment diagram is correct, then you would have ended up with 2, 4, and 3. And then if we look at print Ellington, if we go to print Ellington, which is the band leader, we would get, here's the band, because we realize that we're looking at the string of self, and it would just print that out. So it'd be, oops, here's the band. So the print method expects the string representation of Ellington, which is given by calling the string method right here of Ellington. Sorry, of just Ellington. And then the Ellington checks to see if the band leader has a string method, which it does. So that's why print Ellington then becomes print. Here's the band. And just to like clarify something really quickly, the reason why we're not like going like in the past, we've gone up to the musician class, it's because string method is defined here within this class. And if it wasn't, then it would have gone up to check the musician class because band leader is of the musician class. And then next, let's look up at our last code line, which just has Ellington. And when prompting for Ellington's value, we return the representation of Ellington given by the repr method. So we call the band leader's repr method, which would essentially be clarinet, trumpet. Oh, and that concludes the musician question. Thank you.